Alright, hello and welcome to the 12th episode of my series on what if civilization started over. Now, obviously, a lot of stuff has recently happened, and a lot of more interesting things are going to be happening since I've thought of a lot more ideas. Duh. But obviously, for example, some things that did happen was, like the collapse over here going on in Greece, as they have definitely lost their superpower status by now. As well as we finally saw the finishing of this major war and many more things. But without further ado, as usual, if you guys do enjoy, please do like, subscribe, as this series has been going through the hellhole of utter depression, and hopefully we could bring it back to life. So, without further ado, let's get on right to the video. Now, the first thing I want to take a look is over here in Asia, since honestly I do not give it enough love, as many of the major interesting conflicts happen over here in Europe. But don't worry, as we are finally going to be showing this area some beautiful love. So basically, the main thing we're going to be seeing is as settlers are moving into this new area, for many, many reasons, for only God knows, we are going to essentially be filling this area up with many more countries. For example, we will have a country like this pop up right here. We also have this small country right here. We will have a fairly large Persian country, actually, pop up right over here. Alright, and there is a lot to talk about. What the hell? Alright, and in this... I almost said, okay. Alright, and there is a lot to talk about, first of all. So, looking over here in Persia is probably the most notable. There is a very, very large number of people just kind of beginning to settle in these areas. Now, this is mostly thanks to people in India over here, and mostly people from, I guess some of these Arabian nations, and mostly thanks to the Caspian country right over here, with people moving into this new area. Now, scooching over here, this is just a mix of people all around. So we have this little section, which was kind of created from, kind of the same people. So they kind of come in chunks. Obviously, these ones are like this. So it's also kind of notable. I'll get to this one in a bit. And then you obviously have these four, which doesn't... That's weird. Anywho, and then we also obviously have these two smaller Chinese nations, which are just kind of chilling over here. Now, speaking of this northern Russian country right over here, which is orange, I guess, essentially they were also created from the same cause, but they're a little different, with them having by far the largest population, but also them really wanting to expand north and being quite expansionist. So with that, even with their very early creation being fairly recent, that is not going to stop them from doing some of their own expansion up and over into a lot of these areas, which will allow them to just kind of go way up over here into areas most countries wouldn't even dare looking at, but they're just built different with their vodka and Russian hats and everything. They're gonna lock in. And with that, we will see the Russians, which I mean, very few people will be living up here, but nevertheless, they will still go ahead and begin to take all of these lands for themselves, making them the largest country. Yep, making them the largest country off rip. Now, will they last like this? Who knows? But, I mean, there's really only one way to find out. Now, continuing over here in Asia, what we will be seeing is, obviously, I guess this blue Chinese country will go ahead and do a little bit of expansion, as they will go ahead and take this little panhandle area right here, but also just continue expanding up into this northern area right here. And just like that, we will have them kind of look like this up north. But also seeing, I guess, this dark goldish country, they will also just kind of go ahead and make connections with every single one of these. While they won't go ahead and directly take them over, it is almost certain in the coming episodes they will just simply become a vassal or a false puppet state, which I mean, they're obviously going to try to deny, but I think it's going to be pretty obvious. Now, finally looking over into Europe, we could get to a lot of good stuff. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is alliances, which I mean, honestly, I have not given enough credit to, as it's been quite lacking with only a few defensive alliances existing in this moment. But that's about to change, as a certain country is going to make a brand new alliance. Basically, we are going to have the Trapezoid Alliance officially made by the blue team above all else. And their goal now is to mainly just go ahead and stop red team expansion. But the problem is there honestly isn't too many countries up for this. Now, one country we do see joining is obviously going to be their good old buddy, the French, which they've been actually very close to in recent years. But at least for now, that's actually going to be about it, as there isn't honestly too many countries, or if there is, they're either in another alliance, they're either influenced by them, too crippled, or don't care about them, or are just good friends with them, like over here. And obviously, rightfully so, in response, we are going to be seeing the red team make their own alliance, being the Diamond Alliance, just like so. And with this, they're going to be also doing their own recruiting, as they are going to get Cree over here to join, actually, as they are going to get Crete right here to join the alliance. That looks really weird. What the hell? That kind of works. We will also get this country right here, as well as this North Anatolian one, which are all influenced by the red team. And then we will also obviously have these smaller ones right here. And I mean, this is going to look really weird because they're too small, goddammit. Why are you so tiny? And just like that, we have them. You know what? Don't look at that, actually. And last but not least, we will also have Estonia joining. Now, actually, one thing I did forget is if we go down here, we obviously have the HAE, which I believe, yeah, Holy Arabian Union, or Holy Arabian Empire, actually, my bad, which will look something like this. And to represent them being in a Holy Union, or I guess Empire, my bad, again, they will obviously have this yellow little line right here, which I believe makes it looking a little better. Now, before we get to any larger issues going on over here in Europe, as this is always a hellhole, we're going to take back a look over here in Asia, as we're going to be seeing a breakaway happen. Essentially, over here, obviously, I mean, this was kind of expected, but we are going to have a large breakaway happen over here, coming from Caspian over here, as they essentially don't really have the option to just kind of keep holding on to this area, as they have other issues to attend to and kind of protect, which kind of allowed this area to fall through. And this is going to give them a large breakaway, and since Caspian can't really do anything, they're just going to have to let go of this country. And obviously, since they are a brand new country, we have to give them a brand new major city, which in this case is going to be right over here in their most populated city. But now what we're going to be looking at is a major conflict. As looking over here, there's going to be a few things happening. Now, I'm also going to get rid of the alliance layer, at least for now. So remember these four countries, all being the Dutch, or I guess the Germans. Dutch, yeah. But basically, what is going to be happening is, after a lot of planning, there's going to be a sneak invasion, sneaky golem, and they are going to go ahead and capture a lot of territory which was not expected from Sweden. And essentially, with all the troops coming from all four of these nations right here, all helping each other out, they're going to be able to capture a lot, also thanks to their little sneak attack, which was not expected by the Swedish. And with this, there's going to be a large foothold that is going to be taken, as they're going to continue up their way over here and actually almost take all of Denmark, as well as this island, besides this little northern part, which will hold off, but only for. And with this, although we will finally see them coming to a conclusion, as there's going to be a large stalemate, and nothing is going to happen for a while. And I mean, it isn't going to be for too long, as we will see Norway right here. They will go ahead and make their own invasion, seeing Sweden in a more stressed, weakened state. They're going to go ahead and start slithering their way down this coast, which was also not expected, as Sweden was, they thought they were chill with everyone, but as a matter of fact, they were not. So with this, we will have Norway taking a lot of land, mostly in this mountainous region, which Sweden really couldn't care about. But still, land is land, and they're going to try to take it. So in the end, their land gain is going to look something like this, until Sweden realizes that this is going to be a very, very large issue if they don't make peace, which they will go ahead and make before anything else happens, seeing that they just kind of fumbled the bag really badly here. Alright, and in this peace negotiation, we have many, many things. First of all, we obviously have this country right here, aka Norway, getting a lot of land, essentially all of this. And they also, as a matter of fact, joined the alliance, just like these two small countries right over here. Now we also have these three countries right here, and I will get to everything else here in a second, as we obviously see Sweden quite crippled. Although one interesting thing is these two areas were just literally gifted as, I guess, a sign of friendship between these two, as they all feel like they're all at least somewhat connected, especially over here in the north. So they just kind of gifted them these areas in like a share of kindness, because I mean, truthfully, they weren't going to get those lands anyway, so that's one way to do it. But anyway, we're going to take another look back over here. And essentially what we're going to be seeing is these few countries, specifically this blue one, which is also the oldest one, excluding this, go ahead and start expanding down south, even reaching the border of the Indian country right here. Essentially, they kind of pass through these Alps, and they will get a lot nicer border in a second. Alright, there we go. So we have a slightly nicer border, and as a matter of fact, while we're here, we will also have the two Indian countries, which are, I guess this is more like Pakistan, just to, at least so there's some difference, which are like the two stronger countries over here, as we will see Pakistan take these lands right here, and even go a little bit into the north, connecting up with this little pink country, just like so. And then we will see the rest of this area get picked up by this Indian country right here. And actually, I'll slightly change that by giving some of these lands to these countries, as this one will take this little chunk, and this green one will go ahead and take a little bit of this land right over here. So we have the borders looking something like this, and in terms of size, they are now almost exactly the same, with the orange one being just barely any bigger. But anyway, what we are going to be seeing is that the Romans are going to be up to something. What that is, we're going to find out in a second. Now, knowing the Romans and seeing that they have lost land over here, but they've also recently gained this, which is honestly very valuable, and especially this area right here. Essentially, what they're going to be doing is doing a bit of a sneaky move that you may not expect. Essentially, they will go ahead and actually occupy lands over in the Byzantine Empire. Now, this is a little strange, and I mean, this definitely caught them off guard, as they are definitely demanding for them to leave their own homeland. But I mean, they obviously don't leave, and instead it gets even weirder, as they will just go ahead and demand for a amount of land. Essentially, they demand for these areas right over here to get handed over. And I mean, seeing that the Byzantines are in absolutely no state to do anything, they will just have to go and accept this. Although, they are very confused, as they were just betrayed by their own ally, which I mean, to a point, it is kind of understandable, seeing that they're in a weakened state and they can't really do anything. So essentially, they're just a free land grab. So, or at least that's, I guess, what they think it is. So in the end, the Byzantines will go ahead and take these lands right here. But anyway, as we look over down here into, I guess, this area right here, we are going to have the purple team go on a bit of a rampage, as they will just go ahead and, I mean, they're already crazy, but they're going to continue this craziness, as they will sweep through this country right here, and just go ahead and completely annex it. Okay. Now, anyway, what we are going to be seeing, though, is some explorers from this northern area right here will go up and explore and even go and meet Iceland. Now, they are going to go ahead and explore this area, which in the end is just a bunch of empty land, obviously, but they are still going to go ahead and colonize this, because, I mean, mainly this is going to be colonized. And essentially, in a very large surprise, we will actually see them taking over the entire island, making them the largest country in the British Isles, technically, with their colony, but, I mean, far from the strongest, although they are definitely quite powerful. And also, they will be gaining more power, as they will go ahead and unite with their brotherly Scottish countries, which, I mean, this union has definitely been in the process for quite a while, and this actually makes them on par now, if not even actually surpassing them, than the southern, I guess, Londonese country. I mean, London's like here, but you get the point. It's fairly similar. So, in response, as usual, London will go ahead and make a response by declaring war on a country, being this time, I guess, Wales, I think. And I mean, they are going to be jumped by both of these countries, which is not going to go well. And with the very quick invasion, as this country obviously didn't stand a single chance, we can look at a simple peace treaty where it is going to be split essentially kind of roughly into two, with them getting a little more land because, I mean, of course they are. So we will have them looking something like this. Although some explorers don't really stop there, and instead they go ahead and actually continue all the way this way, even seeing some nice little islands, as it will start heading this way towards, at least what they think, as usual, over here in China. As if they could just kind of go over here, hopefully they could find something. So what we do see is kind of China over here as well, beginning to kind of make their way like this, and hopefully go ahead and find something. Now, one thing we will also see is, I guess this Ontario country will also make their way, expanding over here with this more coastal lands like this. So, with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, obviously please do like, subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I will see you in the next video.